You might know me as JLS Comics. I'm all around the internet. I'm on the CBCS forum. I'm on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, all the socials. That's where you can find me. I'm glad to be here. Thanks for inviting me to do this. This is awesome.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for agreeing. So, do you have any social media you want to plug? I know you just said you had Facebook, social, YouTube, Twitter, all that
Yeah,
good stuff. Is
right.
the handle all the same?
Everywhere except Twitter. For some reason, JLS Comics was already taken. I don't know who took it, but it's gone. So I just flipped it around, and it's at Comics JLS.
At Comics JLS. Okay,
Yeah, but
cool.
everywhere else, JLS Comics. Nice and easy.
Yeah,
My big focus is YouTube, though. So
big
you
focus
want,
is YouTube. Okay,
yeah.
that's good to know. So, how long have you been collecting?
Well, collecting since I was about 5 years old. I still remember first couple books I got, but really got into it. So I have two different stories. One was like early '90s, big hype. That was like the pinnacle of
Yeah.
collecting back then, right? Everybody was getting into it, even non-collectors. But I was like, I don't know, 12, 13 at the time. Right around the time like Image was, just launching all this awesome
Mm-hmm.
stuff. That was when I first really picked up the hobby and collecting and reading, all the way through until about 2001. And then I ended up selling off that first collection, with college and, life changes at the time,
Yeah.
needed the money. Beer costs money in college. So
Yes, it
um,
does.
that's right. And then, like kind of when the movies started coming back, with the MCU and stuff, I heard people talking about these characters, like coworkers, and I'm like, I remember those guys. And then I kind of got hit with the nostalgia bug and went and picked up a couple books. It was actually the first ones I was getting back to was The Death of Wolverine. That's when
Death
I
of
got back.
Wolverine. Okay.
Yep, I remember those. I was on a trip up to see my grandmother one of the last few times before she passed. And I'm like, what the hell? Just pop into a comic shop, and the rest is history. I've been collecting nonstop ever since then. So,
That's awesome, man. About total wise, how many books do you got? If ballpark.
I'd say about 6,500.
6,500. That's a solid
Yeah,
collection.
yeah, yeah.
And how do you store them? Are they in short boxes? You got like a cool file cabinet thing?
Well, so it's changed. I like the long boxes, and moved a couple times. And I said, no, I need to find something else here. So I moved them all over to short boxes. Got mostly short boxes, and then I have some other like kind of, not shelves like you have, but like a display area
Yeah.
upstairs with some statues and stuff. So I have kind of the storage area and then the display area as well.
That's cool. Yeah, I just got displays on the walls. Anything that's on the wall, it's either graded or it's got some kind of autograph on it that I need
Right.
to
Yeah.
submit for some kind of verification. But everything else just gets put in a giant, like a big file cabinet. I don't know if you can see it right there. This big
Oh yeah. Right on. Yeah.
fireproof file cabinet, which is
I
which
seen a
is
lot
kind
of
of
people
nice.
get those. Yeah. That it's a nice clean look.
It is, and I
Um,
just happen to be lucky. My previous employer was doing some remodeling, and they were just chucking them. And I was like,
nice.
"You didn't chuck one in the back of my car? I don't care." And that's how I
Yeah.
got them, which was kind of nice.
Yeah. Those they're not cheap. Let's just say. So
I looked
yeah.
at them; they're definitely not. So I got shorted out, or I mean, I got lucky, or it
Yeah.
was nice.
Exactly.
Um,
Yeah.
what are some of the? Do you have any cool autographs? What are some of your cooler autographs that you have?
Yeah. I have quite a few actually. I guess, geez, I don't know how to pick. You know what? I'm going to go with one of my favorite creators, a guy that is like hands down, I would say the nicest I've ever met, George Perez.
George Perez. I've
Yes.
met him before. He is a really nice guy. You're right.
Yeah, it doesn't he does this cool like ticket system. So you go and you get like a ticket. He does maybe 200 signatures at a time, and you can go like you have your number. So that's when you are ready to go, up to his table. And until then, you can like walk around the con floor and stuff.
Right.
And that system allows him to take as much time as he needs with each person, which is really cool. So you could be first in line, you could be 150 in line. He's still going to make sure that he takes time with you, takes pictures, signatures, all that stuff. And, you know, he's got a cool signature, but just the story behind that. And it was funny. I had a ticket when I went to see him the last time. It was at SuperCon here. And I had it in my pocket and I was walking around And I went up and I'm like, hey, is it my turn? I have ticket number. It was like 160 or something like that. And they're like, yeah, just show us your ticket. And it reached in my pocket and I couldn't find it.
Oh,
I was,
jeez.
I was I was helping one of my friends. They did have like a vintage video game booth, so I was helping them, and that's where all my stuff was. So I had to like because the 200 I think was the cap, and I was like towards the end there. I think it was 167 is the number I remember. So I had to run back all the way across the convention floor, like look through my stuff really quickly. Couldn't find it. Then I had to run all the way back with my books in my hand, and like people were looking at me like I was like this crazy person. And finally got back, and I'm like I don't have it. You know, what can I do? I've been waiting all day, and I think it's his wife that's his handler.
Assistant,
She's the one.
yeah.
So she's like, you know what? We'll just go through some. We'll notate that number. If it doesn't show up, then you're good. You can end up seeing them. So they made all these accommodations, and he still took the time to see me and stuff. And it was just a really cool story and experience. And
That's
cool. That's one of the things that I like about the signatures. You know, it's cool to like buy them online or whatever. But for me, like the signatures, it's always that experience and that story behind it that makes it all the more meaningful.
And I'm the same way. It's so much better when you get the signature yourself. I mean, if there's an artist or a writer that has passed, you got no choice. You got to get it online.
Right. Yeah.
But just to have that one-on-one interaction with whoever's signing whatever book, it's so much better. And then you have this really cool story.
Right. Exactly.
Keep that forever. Who else has a really cool George Perez story?
Right, exactly. Especially now that he's, dwindling down in his career.
Yeah, I think this is. Yeah. Isn't this year his last year for cons?
Yep. Yeah, it's the last. I think he's got maybe one or two left, and then he's done.
Yeah. I remember reading the announcement. Comic Book Man on the CBCS forums says, "What was your first slabbed book?"
First slab book. Ooh. I think it was Star Wars #1.
Star Wars #1.
The 2015 volume.
Okay. He also wants to know who's the most famous person you met at a convention.
Most famous person. Met quite a few people. That's a tough question. I think because there's just so many.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm gonna go.
Yeah. You go ahead and think of that. I'm gonna go ahead and throw in a really cool answer. I met what was her name? I'm staring at it, but I can't really read cursive very well. She was on Arrow and she played Nessa Al Ghul.
I don't know.
And she was on Spartacus. She was on Spartacus, wasn't she? Gosh, I'm staring right at it. And I can't read her signature very well. And I have this really cool Arrow police badge, replica police badge, and she signed it for
cool.
me. But I can't, for the life of me, remember her name. But that's probably one of the coolest persons I've ever met.
Yeah, I met the lady that played Polaris on, I almost said Gotham, on the Fox show with the mutants that was on.
Yes, yep.
Yeah, she was really cool. Okay, so I have my answer.
Sure.
Daryl McDaniels.
That is interesting.
From I almost said DMX. From Run DMC.
at a comic book convention.
Yes, yeah. He does a lot with that. He was on Comic Book Man. I don't know if you watched that show ever.
Very familiar with it.
And he when he was growing up, he actually had a collection with his brother. And the way they got like their first like decks, like turntables, was kind of a similar story to how Kevin Smith sold off to, to fund Clerks. They sold off that collection to buy the turntables, and that's how he got into music.
Interesting.
And when he was starting, he would always have he would pretend he was the Hulk when he got up on stage and like throw that anger into the lyrics and stuff. So like he's been a comic book guy for a long time, and he actually has a book out. I forget the name of it right now, but he has his own book too.
His own like a comic book or a book about
Yeah.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
I did not know that about Run DMC.
Yeah, there's a lot of unexpected ones like that, like Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, for example.
Yes,
he's got a book. There's a lot of unexpected people that are into this hobby with us.
Including Sebastian Bach from the Scorpions. Yeah, big comic book collector. Never would have known that about him. But
Exactly.
he goes to a lot of cons on the West Coast, from what I understand.
Okay, I saw it. I didn't
Signs a
realize
lot
it was
of
there. Yeah.
cool records or whatever. But it's kind of neat. So in your collection, what does it mostly consist of? Is it mostly DC or mostly Marvel? You got Independence, or is it just a mix of everything you like?
See, that's what it is. I have, and I don't mean to make light of this because I know
Sure.
it's, some people have, but I have like ADD when it comes to collecting. I'm like all over the place. I have my runs, like I always need my Spider-Man and my Batman. Those are things that I'm like for my pull list. Like it would feel weird if I didn't have those on my, my pull list. But like you hear about movies or announcements, or somebody mentions like a cool character, or a book that they write. I'm like, oh, I want to get that, and then I like the next week I'm like, oh, I want to get this. So I'm like all over the place, and I have a really good mix of the big two, I guess the big three now, and then independents also. Obviously not as many of those, but it's a pretty good mix of all types of stuff. I've been going hard after some key issues lately, so. That's what I've been trying to pick up some stuff that I should have picked up a while ago.
When you say you're collecting some independents, what are some really good independents that you're currently collecting?
So I think it ended, but I really enjoyed Paper Girls. That was a pretty
Paper
good
Girls
story.
was good.
Yeah. Black Monday Murders by Jonathan Hickman.
Yep.
That was really good. He's coming back to Marvel, so that's really cool.
Yeah, and they just, speaking of Marvel, I'm going to throw this out there because it just happened recently. They just signed an exclusive deal with Patrick Gleason.
Yes, that's really cool. Yeah.
Oh, I'm sad because I love Patrick Gleason and his run on some of the Superman runs. But I guess good for him. He's got an exclusive deal, but Marvel definitely stole one.
CB Cebulski's doing something right over there. He's bringing the talent back. Jeff
Yes.
Lemire's coming back. Actually, there's the book coming out, like Marvel Comics 1000.
Yeah.
And it's got like 80 something different creative teams on it. Everybody's like coming back, that like people coming out of retirement just to do a story for that book.
Yeah, that's definitely something I'm going to check out. I'm kind of excited about it, but
yeah, I'm kind of like, what's it going to cost?
Yeah, it's it's going to be $9.99. It's going to be a $10 book for sure.
Oh yeah, at least, yeah.
Moving on here. We already got that one. Is there a specific comic book in your collection that has any sentimental value to you? Maybe you got it from a deceased relative or some cool backstory.
Yeah, I mean, it was a gift, and it means a lot to me. It was actually the Adam Hughes 10100 for Spider-Gwen.
Yes, okay.
Yeah, beautiful cover. Really love that. Got actually most of the variants for that first issue, but that one particular book, it's not the most valuable book in my collection, but it means the most to me just because it was a gift from someone I care a lot about.
Interesting.
Yeah.
In your opinion, what's the next big Marvel character to hit the MCU?
Oh, okay. That's a tough one.
That they have not yet announced.
But they've not yet announced.
Yes.
Can it be a rumor?
It could be a speculation. Absolutely.
Okay. Well, there's a few. I'm sure Nova's going to show up.
Shout out to Jesse O, who just popped in.
Oh, what's up? Jesse Unite.
Yeah.
That's my first name, by the way. JLS Comics. That's just my initial, so the J.
Perfect.
Yeah. All right, cool. So yeah, definitely Nova's going to show up. I'm going to say Beta Ray Bill, even though we've kind of had like a tease for him a couple times, right? He was in Guardians 1 in the collectors, like in the back, in one of those little containers that he had. And then he was in Ragnarok on Sakaar Tower, right?
Yep.
With one of those like Man-Thing and a couple other guys. So definitely him. And High Evolutionary. I'm going to go with High Evolutionary.
Okay.
Normally, I would say Galactus and Kang. Those are easy, obvious choices for what the stories are going for the MCU.
Absolutely.
But I'm pretty sure High Evolutionary is going to be in there somewhere too.
How do you feel about Angelina Jolie in the Eternals?
Oh, is Cersei?
Yeah.
Yeah. Dead ringer, spot on.
Really, you think so?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think
it's a good cast too, but some people are not so happy about it. Here's a live question for you. Any advice on a young comic book reader, 15 and younger? What should they collect? How should
just
they
starting
start
out?
their collection? Yep, just starting out.
I would say go to a comic shop and look around and whatever you find that you're like, hey, that looks cool, pick it up and start reading there. Just go with what you enjoy. Go with what you have fun with. That's ultimately what this is all about. So you may not know the story or whatever, but if you like the cover, that character, something just catches your eye, start with that and see where that takes you.
And that's usually something I would say. Collect what you like. Don't
Exactly.
tell everyone, no, collect this book, collect that character. No, if you like Spider-Man or Batman, just collect Spider-Man and Batman. Start from there.
Yeah, exactly.
You'll get introduced to other cool characters along the way, for sure.
Exactly. Yeah, you go down this rabbit hole. You read these stories, and you're like, oh, what are they talking about there? Then you go buy that issue, and then it's like,
That's how I got introduced to Constantine the Hellblazer. I was reading another story, and I was really young. I was like, who's this guy?
Right.
And I was like, okay, now I got to read about this guy online. I was like, man, this guy sounds really awesome. So I started reading Constantine books. Just fell down the Constantine rabbit hole.
That's how it happens.
Another question here from Comic Book Man. What's it like living in Florida as a collector? How do you handle humidity, hurricanes? Do you ever worry about that kind of stuff in your collection?
All right, so 2 words: climate control. No, it's funny, but absolutely, like here, you need to, in your house, obviously, you have your air conditioning and stuff. Humidity is a concern, and they have like dehumidifier, like little things you can put, with your books. It is something to be aware of. You do need to keep it cool. It's obviously the Sunshine State, so it's very sunny here. Definitely want to make sure that like there's no light shining on the books, like direct sunlight. You see that sometimes at the shops where they have like the wall books and then the windows and they're faded books.
Yeah.
We don't have basements here because the water table's so high. So unfortunately, I can't have like a cool like basement room. That's something that I would always like to have. And then the other thing, I was just talking to an owner of a shop. I think it was last week, and we were talking about because he just redid the facade, like the front of the store. There's a new awning, and his the person he leases from did it, and it was black. And I'm like, hey, that looks pretty good, like nice and fresh. And he's like, yeah, but damn it, it's black. It's going to absorb the heat. It's not going to reflect it. And after a week, it's going to be gray. It's going to be all faded, and it's going to look like crap. And then he got into the story about So back in the 90s, there was a really massive, like immensely damaging hurricane called Hurricane Andrew. You may remember it. I think everybody's heard of it. And there was a shop down in Homestead, Florida. It's on the other side of. It's like the last kind of big town. I don't want to call it a city. It's kind of borderline for that. But before you get into the Keys, like Key Largo, and, heading down that way. So it's
like southern Florida.
Yeah, it's like on the other side of Miami. Like that's how far south it is. Yeah. So he had a shop down there, and after that, the place was just like destroyed. He said, I'll bring it next time. I have a picture from afterwards where I went there, and the shop was just all blown out, all the windows, and there was a tree in front of the place, and the tree was full of comic books. Because they and I'm like, he took all like the wall books, all the valuable stuff, like probably like $100,000 worth of like books, and like he had them like stacked up in his kitchen and stuff at his house, So if you're a homeowner or renting or leasing or whatever, the places here now, especially with the modern, it is pretty sturdy. They have these codes that can withstand like pretty strong hurricanes, impact windows and everything. So you're pretty safe. But if you're a shop owner, some of these places that they have, like the strip mall type places, aren't like as up to code. There's some of the older buildings with the thinner windows. So if you're one of those people, I'd be more worried, like that guy was.
Yeah.
And even now, like, his windows, like, they're nice and fresh and everything, but they're not like, I don't think that they're the impact windows. So, but we've been lucky, like, the past decade, really, not had like a really bad.
Another tip, I'll throw it out there. Maybe you use this tip, I don't know, but you ever get those silica gel packs in your packages? These absorb moisture. So what I do is I just, every time I get a big one like this, I'll just throw it in the file cabinet with my books, and it's just another thing that I help to control some of my climate.
Yeah, that's a great idea. There's another product called, I think it's Damp Rid.
Damp-Rid,
like little carton thing. Yeah, just like pop the cap off, and so same idea. But that's a really good idea with those little packs.
Absolutely.
Because like you get them in everything, so you
Yeah,
must
they
have,
come in everything.
you know?
Yeah, and
Yeah.
one of my previous employers, I mean, that's all they did is they had these giant, and I'm talking like 3 feet long silica gel packs. So I just started lining shelves with it. Why not?
Nice. Yeah, exactly.
Owl Fox wants to know if you could be a superhero, who would it be and why?
Would I be? I would be. I've always wanted to be Spider-Man.
You always wanted to be Spider-Man.
Heck yeah, man! Spider-Man is. Yeah, he's cool. And he's relatable. You know, he's got real world issues and stuff. And
That's true.
you know, it's just yeah. And he's overcome a lot of hardship. So yeah, he's one of my favorites. So yeah, I would be Spider-Man.
What about a DC character?
Oh, DC character. That's a tough one. No, it's not. Batman.
Batman. Everybody wants to be Batman.
It's kind of funny. Like with Marvel, I'm going with like this grounded guy down out on his luck. Like he's got to work for the newspaper and like take photos of himself to like make ends meet. And then with DC, you go with like the billionaire. That's got, like, you know.
That's too funny. Here's another one from Comic Book Man. Who is the most underappreciated female in all of comics?
One of my favorites, Ilyana Rasputin, Magic.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting choice. Why do you say that?
She's just a badass, man. She's Colossus's sister. You know, she's got this big sword. She's like magic. You know, hence her name. But she died for a while, so like in the 90s and stuff, she was gone, you know. But she's been back, and she hasn't really had like her. She's been like part of the teams, and she's been like integral to those teams. You know, like with I think it was, what was it right around when they were fighting with the Inhumans, X-Men versus Inhumans.
Yeah.
Like she helped them like go to like this other plane to hide out and stuff. But she hasn't really had her big moment, you know, like a new book or a new title to really shine, except for the Infinity Warps thing, which was pretty cool. And then we're still waiting for her to show up in the movies. She's supposed to be in the New Mutants movie, but that was delayed. It was supposed to come out last year, and then it was supposed to come out in February, and then it got delayed to August. And now it got pushed back again with this new slate from Disney. Bob Iger did this earnings report like a week ago. Moved everything around. That's we got news about the Star Wars movies, and now it's pushed to April of 2020. So
maybe we'll never see it.
You know, I thought, you know, because they were supposed to do some reshoots for it, and somebody asked Maisie Williams about that, who plays Arya on Game of Thrones.
Yeah,
she's supposed to be Wolfsbane, and she was like, I don't know when they're going to happen for the reshoots. So I'm kind of disappointed, but I think that it's actually a good sign that the reshoots are more likely to happen now. But I always thought they would just dump it on Hulu, which they own like 60% of.
No, that's a good idea. That is a good idea. Maybe not a release in theaters, but maybe a good Hulu stuff.
Yeah, exactly. They have 60% of it. They're trying to like bolster that platform, you know, because they have Disney Plus obviously coming out. But that's where, like, they just had like the Ghost Rider announcement.
I did hear about the Ghost Rider announcement.
That's going to go there. There's a whole bunch of like animated series, like Kevin Smith and a bunch of guys are writing them. There's supposed to be Donald Glover wrote an animated Deadpool series a while back. It was supposed to come out on like FX or FXX, you know, one of those channels, and it got shelved. So that could go there too. You know, that could be like their like more like R-rated content type of platform, you know. And this New Mutants movie is like a horror movie, you know.
The trailer looked good. I don't particularly care for New Mutants, but you know, it looked good.
Yeah. I think once that finally comes out, if and when it ever does, I think that Magic will have more of a fan base than she does. I would like to say I believe that I have the largest Magic collection in the world. I'm going to claim that title right now.
All yours, buddy. All yours.
All right.
I won't even get tested,
it.
So it's official now. We're going to call Guinness and make that happen.
That's right.
Let's talk variant fatigue here for a second.
Okay.
How do you think that's damaging the industry with all these 1 in 100, 1 in 5,000, 1 in a lifetime variant? I remember chatting with Frank Cho at Baltimore Comic-Con about this, and he was telling me the story when he was at New York Comic-Con a couple years ago. Some guy presented him to sign a book with a variant so rare he didn't even have it, and he did the artwork on the book.
Oh wow.
So he was telling me about variant fatigue, and he's like, "Yo,
Yeah, that's crazy.
I'm really sick of it, and I'm a variant artist.
Yeah,
He's sick of
exactly.
it too."
That's saying
But
something.
what's your take on the industry?
Yeah, yeah, and they get like all the comps too. Like
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
crazy. Yeah. Um, see, it's tough for me. I have like when they really started like all the store exclusives, like it was so cool. You know, there was a bunch of them, and they were reasonably priced, and it was maybe like excuse me, the trade dress and like the version. You know, now it's like a set of 4 or a set of 8, and it's, you know,
right.
and the prices are double too. It's not like they used to be $9.99 for like the trade dress, the cover A of the variant. Now it's like 30. I think there was one that was like for Detective 1000. I think it was the Archer one was like $80, something like that. It was, you know. So my point is the prices have gone up, and along with if you want that set, if you like that art, that's increased immensely too, and it screams cash grab to me. It's really turned me away from that, and I've been the past couple of years much more selective about it. You know, in the past, you know, with variants, of course, the print run on them was much less, so people were like, well, it's going to be more valuable in the future, and people got burned plenty of times on that. You know, you buy them, and it is a manufactured rarity. It's not like
Right.
in the past where they're, you know, they've been destroyed, or, you know, people have lost them, or, you know, there just wasn't that many to begin with. Now they're purposely making 3,000 or 1,500, you know, to try to reduce the print run, hoping the demand will be there, which will increase the value of it. But as we've seen, that's not happening at all. These, you can find these like 6 months, a year later for a quarter of the price on the Bay, you know.
Right.
So
And you take like a hot button, you know, story or writer, like when Tom King Batman Rebirth number 50 came out, the big wedding issue. There was, I think, like 75 variant covers.
Oh God, yeah,
total. And I
for the wedding,
wedding that we knew wasn't going to happen.
The wedding. Yeah.
And I think I got one original copy, and I really enjoy Tom King, so I was going to get one variant.
Yeah.
And that's all I got. But just blown away by how many variants there are, all everywhere for every issue, even if it has absolutely nothing to do that's important.
Exactly.
It's nauseating.
Yeah, it really is. And I would say, oh God, wish I could grab a glass of water right now, but I'll wait. I would say be very selective. Be smart with your money with that. Don't if they increase in value, that's awesome. That's great, but don't expect them to. So be very selective. Get the covers that you like, you know, the ones that you really like. And if they go up or down in value, that's fine, because you got something you like, you know, it's from an artist you like, you know. And that's kind of the approach that I take, that much more selective approach. And I haven't kind of steered wrong since then, but I've gotten a lot less of them, I'll say that.
Yeah. I do know people in my local comic shop that when they go in there on New Comic Book Day, they get, you know, cover A and B, C, D, and they're getting a stack of, it's one story, but they got 9 issues of one story, and it just, like, that's why they're making all these variant covers, because people like you, I gotta have every variant ever mass-produced ever.
Oh God, I got caught up in that for a while.
I will admit, I was that guy for a little while, and then I realized, like, wow, I just bought, you know, Flash Rebirth number 4. I bought 3 covers for it, and it's not even a key issue. Like, what am I doing?
Yeah. Or you go, like, you get one of the store covers, and you drop like $50, $120, whatever it is for, you know, the set. You could get like a pretty decent Silver Age book for that price, you know.
Yeah.
That had that price, you know, for decades. It's like proven to stay at that. You're putting that money in, and if that's a concern for you, it's going to retain that because it's done that, you know, for so long. So in my opinion, you know, like we were saying before, like, get what you like, you know, like your own method of it. But for me, I've been kind of going more for like the silver and bronze stuff, some copper keys, because to me that's much more of a better, I'm going to use the word investment, even though I'm not like necessarily investing in this, but for me, it's a better buy to go with those versus these books that may or may not have a value in a year.
Very, very true. So our good friend Jesse over at CBCS Forums, he has a question for you. He says, do you think we will see the X-Men and the MCU movies in the near future?
In the near future. So Kevin Feige said it won't happen until at least 2021. What I think is going to happen is we're talking about Angelina Jolie and Cersei. That's going to be the Eternals movie.
Right.
If you know the backstory of the Eternals, with like the Celestials, they had the Deviants, Homo sapiens. The Homo sapiens had an evolution to Homo superior, right? That's how mutants happened. So I think with that movie, if they're going to have to explain the backstory. Who are these Eternals? Like, why are they here? You know, there's going to have to be that story about where they came from. And with that, I think that's how we'll get introduced to mutants. So that will lay the groundwork.
True.
Right, for mutants, or been around, maybe something with the snap, you know, kind of.
I was just thinking that they have to include it with a snap somehow.
Yeah, now there's a multiverse, so they could come from any number of those, you know. But it's gonna be quite a while. I would say 2024 probably till we get like a straight up X-Men, or even, well, I think Fantastic Four will come a little bit earlier. But for X-Men, I think that they're gonna wait. They can afford to wait right now and just do it when it's right. You know?
Yeah, don't rush it. Don't rush it.
Exactly.
The fact that everyone is anticipating this, I think, is good, because once they say, okay, it's going to be in this movie, you know, you're going to have a second wind of good comic book movies. That I think we definitely will.
Yeah, exactly. And they're very cognizant about superhero movie fatigue. Like, people have been talking about that for a while. That's why they do like different subgenres, like the comedy and the heist and the sci-fi and the grounded. So it gives it all like different feel. And they're saving some of that different feel type stuff for the future, so that they can kind of mix it up and, you know, change things and maybe mitigate some of that superhero fatigue, which, if you've seen the numbers for Endgame, I really don't think that that's a thing yet. But, you know,
still
people
going.
There's superhero fatigue out there, but I don't know. What is it? $2 billion movie.
Did you catch Captain Marvel by chance?
I did, yeah.
What are your thoughts on that movie?
Actually, I saw it early. I saw it at a advanced screening. I do, just a little plug, I do movie reviews from screenings on my YouTube channel. So that's something, if you're interested, you want to check it out, you know, you can see that. I'll be seeing John Wick 3 next week, so that'll be exciting.
Awesome.
Looking forward to that.
Jealous.
Yeah. Should be cool. But back to the question, which was Captain Marvel. It was smart of them to put it where they did. There was all the controversy around Brie Larson, right? Mm-hmm. And I think that would have turned a lot of people away, but because of the proximity to Endgame, people went out to see it anyways, just to see the lead up and what might happen. Is there a end credit scene? You know, like that curiosity about Endgame boosted the numbers for the movie. But the movie as a whole, I was a little underwhelmed by it, and nothing with like Brie Larson, just like the story itself. It was okay, you know. It was cool, like the nostalgia, like, you know, seeing the blockbuster and like the soundtrack. You know, I enjoy my '90s music. It wasn't my favorite of the. It wasn't bad. Definitely not like Thor: Dark World bad. You know, kind of like in mid tier. If you're gonna rank all the movies, kind of like right in the middle. You know, but it was cool, and I think it did lay a lot of groundwork. Like the daughter. You had Maria, who was Photon. That was her call sign on her in her plane, and then her daughter was Maria, and then her daughter was Monica, right? Yeah. So that's laying the groundwork for her to be something, because that was the '90s. Now we're up to, what is it, 2023?
Yeah.
You know, so she's full adult now. She could very well take on her mom's call sign, be a Captain Marvel or Photon, you know, which would tie into a bunch of other stuff. Like, you know, I just did a video on Thunderbolts, and Photon was a member of Thunderbolts roster for a while. Young Avengers, you know, a ton of stuff that they could do. So that's one thing that I really like about the movies, like as good or bad as they might be. And I say the word bad, but there's never one that's like bad. It's just less good than the others. I guess
Less good. I like that.
I don't know how else to say it, but what I always enjoy, looking for those like little Easter eggs and like figuring out like, okay, they said this, or I saw that on a screen, like, aha, they're like, what was it? I think it was Iron Man 2. I think it was Iron Man 2, which was what, 2010.
Yeah, I think so.
They had a map up on the screen in the Shield like room, and you saw Wakanda. You
and
saw like a bunch of these other hot spots.
Yeah.
Yeah, Atlantis was there, right? So they plant these seeds like literally years in advance before they pay off. They mentioned Stephen Strange in that movie, and it wasn't until that was Winter Soldier, and it wasn't until like 2 years later that they had like a Doctor Strange movie. So that it's always fun to try to like figure out what we see now and how that will pay off in like a couple years from now. So that's one thing that when I went into Captain Marvel, I was looking for was some of those little planted seeds.
Very cool. Here's a little bit of news. The Venom writer, Donnie Cates, I'm sorry, is in works with Daredevil bad guy Vincent D'Onofrio.
Okay.
I guess there's a new Marvel thing they're working on. It's super top secret. They haven't really revealed much about it, so it sounds like we'll see more of Vincent D'Onofrio in the MCU.
That would be cool. And Donnie Cates, you said?
Donnie Cates, the gentleman who wrote the Venom movie.
So I'm thinking like a Venomized Kingpin?
Venomized Kingpin. Yeah.
That sounds pretty cool, right?
I think that'd be pretty sweet. That would be really fun. Any guesses to what that project might be with Vincent D'Onofrio? My guess, it's probably something Marvel movie related. It's in that big MCU realm. I think it's something probably animated.
Yeah, that would make sense. Like voice acting for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because he's very identifiable. People can pick him out of a lineup.
Oh yeah, for sure. I think that they're gonna kind of take two roads going forward. They're gonna have the cosmic side, and then like the very kind of grounded side. Like if you think about Shang-Chi, like how does he fit into the Eternal story? Something like that. So they have to have this grounded story to take things. And I know they can't do, because of the contract with Netflix, they can't use those characters for like 2 years.
Yeah.
Which kind of eliminates Kingpin, at least for now. So I think that you're spot on there. It's going to be something animated, and I guess if it's animated, it could be either grounded or cosmic. But if he's live action, I don't know what he would be.
Yeah, he makes it. The sad part is he did such a good job as Kingpin. It's really hard to see him. If it wasn't in makeup or anything, but if he was like himself, it'd be really hard to see him not as Kingpin. Yeah.
He would be a really big Professor X.
A Professor X origin story.
Yes.
Scott Snyder said in a recent interview that he thought Dark Knight's Metal would flop.
Really?
Yes. Okay. How wrong is he? Obviously.
Yeah. How humble too.
Yes.
He had so much success. I loved his Batman stuff. Like when he was working with Capullo, New 52.
Yes.
That's when he was first like really on my radar. Did he do Witches with Image? Was that him?
I think so. Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah, he's done a ton of stuff. Honestly, it's all been good. I don't know why he would think otherwise.
Do you have the new DC streaming service app?
I do not.
Okay.
As a matter of fact, yeah.
So you haven't seen, Titans or Doom Patrol?
I saw Titans.
Okay.
I won't say how, but I saw it.
It doesn't matter.
Okay. No judging here.
Yep.
But I haven't seen Doom Patrol yet, unfortunately. But I will say that it was 1 or 2 episodes I don't remember from Titans that they were in. They were great. They were like some of the best from that first season of Titans. So. Well,
if you've seen the trailers for Doom Patrol, so I can't really spoil it because it's in the trailers. They bring back Cyborg, Victor Storm.
Right? Yeah, I seen that.
And I don't know who the actor is that plays him, but he makes a great cyborg.
Yeah, I mean, obviously I haven't seen it either, but he looks the part. Definitely does.
And it's great how they went around because Cyborg's this big robot guy, and it's mostly all CGI. But I like how when the director was talking about how they went around it, like, just give him a hoodie.
Yeah.
No, we don't have to do any work, and just he has a prosthetic on his face. Done. We have Cyborg.
Boom. Yeah.
Cost us
smart.
nothing.
That's smart. That's the route that Marvel took with Luke Cage.
Yeah, and it shows.
Yeah. The other one I'm looking forward to is Swamp Thing. That
Oh
looks
my
really
gosh,
cool to me.
Swamp Thing.
Yeah.
Yes, but did you hear the sad news already regarding Swamp Thing?
Where they cut it down to 10 episodes.
They cut it down to 10 episodes, and it is unlikely to get a second season.
Yeah, I think for that the budget was just too high. They were like actually filming. They were on set wherever it was, and they got a call. Producer got the call like, stop production right now. So they were like into that 11th or 12th episode, like filming that. They just had to like stop like what they were doing right then and just done. And apparently they have to like rework the 10th episode to kind of have everything wrap up there. Yeah.
Yeah.
But they thought they had like three more hours of story to, wrap stuff up. So, yeah, I guess it was the budget, but they also cut, was it Defenders was like 8 episodes? Something like that?
Yeah, Defenders was real short. Too.
Yeah. So the fact that it's a shorter season, I don't think necessarily that means it's bad. But the fact that they're changing tact, in terms of like where they're throwing money, that might be concerning, especially if they're not going to do a second season. I think for DC, what would be smart is if they kind of roll the streaming service up into like a larger, like Warner Media streaming service.
Okay, yeah, I can see that.
It's akin to Marvel having a streaming service versus Disney having a streaming service. You have much more content available, much more of an audience base. You can pull in a lot more people. They're in much more money. So I think with like Warner Brothers, it's Warner Media now, but there's like so much more that they have than just DC that might be smart for them to do if like getting people to sign up for the app and making money off of it is a concern. That might be a good route.
They did say that the stopped production of Swamp Thing had nothing to do with this subscription service or the lack of subscribers that they have.
Well, that's good.
They did say it was
Unless
creative.
it's a PR spin.
Yeah, they did say it was a creative disagreement, and no one was willing to budge.
Oh, okay.
So they decided, well, if no one wants to play nice, we just won't play.
We're taking our toys and going home.
Yes. There are rumors that Constantine Season 2 has found a home on the DC streaming service app.
Okay, that's
so
good.
So we could be seeing more Matt Ryan as John Constantine.
Sweet.
Do you
and
think
maybe some Justice League Dark in there, maybe too?
Or maybe a hint, maybe a character drop. Yeah. Maybe an episode or two with Zatanna,
Yeah.
That would be pretty. I'd be all about it.
Absolutely. People are always like, "Oh, that was fan service." They're just, but I'm like, "Yes,
I'm okay with fan service.
I love it.
I have no problem with fan service.
Give me some more fan service."
Do you think that will bring in more subscribers if they do Constantine Season 2?
Yeah, that show did pretty well. I mean, there's a cult following for it. A lot of people.
I loved it. I loved it.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, so I think that it will 100% bring in a bunch more people. Yeah.
And that's something they definitely need to do.
Yeah.
Comic Book Man wants to know CBCS or CGC and why.
And why? Well, I mean, CBCS. I mean, come on. But there's a variety of reasons. I don't concern myself with and I think it's still roughly like a 10% difference in like resale, like fair market value between the two, which people make it out to be much bigger than that. But if you break down the numbers, that's really kind of what it comes to. But I've always really liked the visibility that CBCS has had. The people who run the show. Steve Ricketts is like really like always in the forum.
He is.
There's a bunch of Steves there.
Shout out to Steve Ricketts.
Yeah, and Paulus.
And Paulus, yeah.
Yeah.
Shout out to everybody.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. But they've always been like really visible and like had their ears open to everybody's suggestions.
And they're very responsive too.
Yes, exactly. And people request things, and granted, there's growing pains, so to speak. They got like really big in the past couple years, and turnaround time increased, and then Beckett came on, and there was the move, so delays there. But that's okay for me. That's understandable. That's not like they're deliberately delaying things. They're
Right.
trying to get that down. But for me, the big sell is what we were talking about earlier with signatures.
To say
Yeah,
that's why I'm CBCS, so I can get this
yeah,
really cool. I hate the red. I wish they'd change the color, but I love this service.
right.
I love the service because I go to a lot of small cons to get signatures too, and there's never CBCS at small cons in tiny Pennsylvania. So they used to be right in your backyard.
Yeah. They were right on the other side
Yeah,
in Tampa. Yeah.
and then they
I had
moved.
Steve Borak on. I have a live show I do every Thursday over on YouTube. Steve Borak was on there too.
Really, that's
Really,
really cool.
yeah, a couple times actually. He came on. It was one time when I actually asked him. Well, I asked Steve Paulus, and then Steve said, "Hey, you need to talk to this other Steve." So Steve
Steve and
Borak,
Steve. All right,
There's Steve Paulus, Steve Borak, and Steve Ricketts. So
awesome.
there's the Steves. And then the second time there was I don't remember what it was. There was a PSA that came out, a press release, and I wanted some clarification on it. And then Steve was like, "Hey, I heard you were mentioned something about you talk about it on your show. Can I come on and talk about it?" He was like, "I was like, yeah, sure, that's awesome." And it made sense what he said. It's like a lot easier to get ahead of rumors before they get out of hand and just get all the right information from the get go.
Then put out a giant house fire. Yep.
Exactly, and that's exactly what he did. And I forget, I shouldn't have forgotten, but I can't think right now what that topic was. But he's a great guy, and that just speaks to what I was saying about how visible they are and reactive and responsive when they need to be. So I really like
Absolutely.
that openness and transparency.
In one word, can you describe PGX?
Do you know? Okay.
Have
If
you
I
ever
say,
used their services before?
if I say kitchen, well, you know what I mean.
Yes.
Okay.
That's too funny. Have you ever used? I personally have never used PGX before.
No. I've
Okay.
heard the stories, and I always say like it's you got to try somebody for yourself and see your own experience. Everybody has a different experience. I've
Yeah.
heard people have great experiences, no issues, and then you've heard all the other stories.
All it takes is one bad, review and to just ruin a company.
Mm-hmm.
And to go back, they had that big Ninja Turtle #1
Yeah.
issue, but honestly, I haven't heard anything about it since it got settled. What I wish they'd tell us what was the settlement. Was it proven fraudulent? Did the guy just make up the problem? Was it actually a problem that PGX did? How
Right.
did they settle it? Was it a money settlement or whatever? Well, I don't even know if it was a money settlement, but
Yeah.
I was
How
just
much?
kind of
Tell us
curious.
the
Yeah,
exact
yeah,
amount.
tell us. I was more curious as to, was the problem PGX's fault or not? That's what I want to know. Was it really their goof?
Right.
And I would
Yeah.
also like to know how they do their signature verification, because on CBCS's website they tell you exactly how they do it,
Yeah,
what they
it's
look
a
for, all that
scientific
stuff.
process that they
And
use.
PGX says, "Yeah, we offer that," and that's it.
Yeah. So what I hear is that I forget the guy's name, but basically he runs out of his house. He's up in Pacific Northwest,
Yeah, I think he's in the Seattle
and
area.
yeah, and the books are like stacked up in his kitchen. People send them in his garage, and if and this is hearsay, so don't like
It is
you know
hearsay. Yeah,
yeah,
we don't know.
exactly.
Well,
But
he
I
hasn't
heard
proven
if you
us
pay
wrong.
him
Like he hasn't.
enough,
Yeah.
yeah, he'll verify whatever you need verified.
Again, just a rumor. We
Exactly.
don't know.
Exactly.
We don't know. He could be a cool dude, and all his services could be legit. The
Yeah.
problem is if you go looking at the PGX website, it's very plain.
Yeah.
I think what he should do, and this is my 2 cents. If I was a business owner, I'd be on YouTube. I'd be going to maybe some local conventions. You know what I mean? Give us a tour. Are you really working in your garage?
Yeah.
If you are, that's cool. But what? Show us like what's you are doing to protect my book.
Right.
If I can
Exactly.
see you put this really high dollar book, is it just laying on the kitchen counter like everybody says, or do you have like a secure location? Do you
Yeah.
have
With
a
like
safe?
cats walking around on
Yeah,
the
yeah.
stack.
Are there? I've heard that rumor before. Are there cats just
Yes.
walking around?
You need to know if there's going to be cat hair in my slab.
Exactly. I think that guy could do more to get ahead, and I don't
Mhm.
understand why he doesn't.
Exactly. Yeah.
But that's no here nor there. All right, we'll wrap it
And
up
again,
here with
we'll
a
say.
yeah, exactly complete rumor we don't know. We'll wrap it up here with a couple questions here. Comic Book Man wants to know what's the dumbest item you've ever purchased at a con.
Okay. The $15 small pizza.
$15 small pizza, and
Yeah,
boy,
that
do
was
they mean small too.
yeah, it's 2 bites and you're done.
Yeah,
But
right.
yeah, they have a captive audience and like they can charge whatever they want. And
Right.
if you're hungry, you're hungry.
Just go to the
Um,
food court and buy something. That's the dumbest thing you've ever bought at a convention.
yeah, I try to be pretty smart, with what I pick up.
I
And,
treat conventions like I treat movie theaters. I'm not buying your popcorn, but I am bringing in snacks.
there you go, perfect.
I'm not supposed to, but go ahead and try and stop me. Let's go with one more here. So if anybody on Twitch wants to ask one last question here, we'll go ahead and give this the 5-minute warning. So get your questions in. We'll go back to Comic Book Man because he got a whole bunch of questions in.
Thank you.
Your logo is a Deadpool with a tiny millionaire. What is that implying? Comic Book Man wants to know.
This.
Yes.
I could go with the inappropriate answer. I'll just say he's worthy.
He is worthy. Deadpool is worthy.
He is worthy to be in the MCU.
If in the MCU, do you think we will ever see Ryan Reynolds Deadpool in the MCU?
I like to believe so, and I think that if anybody could replace Stan Lee as the cameo king, how cool would it be if like
Deadpool would be the cameo king
for each movie, like randomly?
Oh my god,
That's
that's such a good idea. I never thought of that. That is a good idea. Shauna says, "What comic book movie do you want to see in a movie?" Or I'm sorry, what comic book do you want to see into a movie?
Oh, into a movie.
Into a movie.
It's already been a series, but I really want to see a reboot of The Crow.
The Crow.
Yes.
Yeah. Wasn't Jason Momoa attached to that at one point?
He was, and that just got shelved. That whole project. Yeah, so unfortunately, yeah, but that was in the works for a little while. But I'd really like to see that get off the ground. Also, I'd really like to see a sequel to Dread. That movie was awesome.
That would be nice.
Yeah.
Here's a quick headline for you. I want to get your 2 cents on it. Marvel announces Wolverine versus Blade one-shot from Arrow co-creator Mark Guggenheim.
Yes, I'm all about that. That sounds awesome.
Yeah.
Yes.
I would love to see a Blade somehow come back into the MCU. If they're doing a... what's that guy's name? Mobius, the vampire, played by Jared Leto. If you're going to introduce vampires into the MCU, you have to have Blade.
Absolutely, 100%. It's got to be rated R.
Yes.
Don't like shy away. It's got to be straight.
Show
up,
all
like,
the blood, all
exactly.
the blood.
Blood everywhere. Just do it. There was a scene. I think it might have been the first Blade movie, an alternate ending, where was that the one? Yeah, that was the one where the guy turned into like this like gelatinous mess of CGI at the end.
Yeah.
So there was another scene where that whole scene wrapped up, and then Blade came out like of the building, and he was up on the roof, and then the camera panned over to another roof, and there was a guy standing up on the roof in the distance, and that it was never named, but everybody that was on that project said that was supposed to be Morbius for another movie, another Blade movie. It just never got made. So
Yeah.
that was a pretty cool like little Easter egg story.
That is cool. It's funny. Everyone gives Black Panther the first African American comic book hero, and I was like, listen, it goes back before even Blade, with Shaq.
That's right. Yeah.
As Steel. So
That's
Shaq
right.
is technically the first African American superhero in a movie. So
That's right.
take that, everybody.
We lost John Singleton
Yeah.
recently. Director, 51 years old, young guy. But he actually wanted to do a Black Panther movie back in like the middle of the 90s.
Interesting.
He had reached out to what's his name? He became Blade. Wesley Snipes.
Yeah, Wesley Snipes. Yeah.
And that he wanted to like bring in like the actual Black Panthers, have like really like civil rights leading story. That project fell through, and because that fell through, that's why Wesley Snipes went on to be Blade. But we could have had a Black Panther movie all the way back in like 95 or 94 from John Singleton.
Wesley Snipes is Black Panther.
Yeah, interesting.
Very interesting.
Yeah, but the quality of the movies back then, like we had Dolph Lundgren as Punisher, and then there was that Roger Corman FF movie that I would say it was pretty bad, but I will also say it's probably the best Fantastic Four movie we've had to date. So
yeah, that's
unfortunate. That Josh Trank was horrible.
Fantastic Four deserve much better.
They do. They sure do.
All right, man. We'll end it there. You want to go ahead and plug your social media again, real quick?
Yeah, for sure. Well, I just want to say once again, thanks for having me on. This is a lot of fun. Man. It's an honor to be asked, so I appreciate that. You can find me all over the internet. Just search JLS Comics. I am on YouTube mostly. You can find me there. Make videos every week. Comic book, superhero, movie, anime videos every week. I do a live show. Also on Facebook, I have a page there. And I started a J. Scott Campbell fan club page over there as well, so you can look that up.
Awesome.
3,500 people in there. So
that's real cool.
A lot of fun. Yeah, we're talking about the variants.
Oh God.
Yeah. So he does a lot of variants. So everybody posts those up. Beautiful artwork, but I don't get every single one. So like we were talking about.
Right.
Also, CBCS forum. I'm there as much as I can be. Busy throughout the week, but I pop in when I can, and participate in the threads and have fun with everybody else. I did start
guys, for sure.
Yeah, it is. I did start the cover contest a couple years back.
It's still going.
I can't believe it's still going.
It's still going.
Years. Yeah, that's crazy to me. And then everywhere else, Instagram, I put up books and stuff that I find. The only one that's different is Twitter, which is @ComicsJLS. So you can find me there.
Perfect.
There you go.
Awesome, man. Thanks for coming on. We'll have to link up again in the future and see if your opinions have changed.
Okay, sounds like a plan.
All right, man. Hey, appreciate it. Nice to speak with you. Enjoy sunny Florida.
All right. You enjoy PA.
Yeah, right. Thanks, man. We'll catch you later.
Thanks.